What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Properties and Pour Overs podcast. My name is Adam Colburn, and today I have a very good friend of mine, Lance Williard. What's going on, Lance?
What's happening, brother? How you doing?
I'm well, man. I'm well. Appreciate you taking the time to come and chat with me.
Anytime.
So, just to introduce yourself to our listeners, can you tell me where you're located in the country and what your business looks like currently?
I'm located in High Point, North Carolina. I currently have 15 single-family long-term rentals and a duplex long-term,
Nice.
and I've got two flips going right now.
Okay. Awesome. In the High Point area for the flips?
Nope, the flips are in one is in Kansas City, Missouri, and the other
Okay.
one is in Wilkesboro, North Carolina.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
So you made the leap into flipping remotely. That's cool.
Yeah. The first two I did were in Kansas City, and
Really?
it was
Okay.
crazy. It was
That's
crazy.
interesting. Do you have some family ties to Kansas City? What made you choose that market when you're here in North Carolina? Obviously, we're popping off here.
Right.
What brought you to Kansas City?
Uh, we was in a different mentorship, and
Okay.
there was a summit or whatever in
Hmm.
Kansas City that we went to, and the guy that was teaching it was like, "Hey, my realtor's here.
Yeah.
You have to talk to her." And I got in with her, and she had the whole team, and I was like, "Hey,
Nice.
let me try to flip." And she got with me, and uh, I was like, "All right, let's do it." And then the next week, she's like, "You want another one?" I was like, "Shoot, might as well." So we got a two for one deal.
I love it. That's awesome. And so this one that you're working on currently, is that the second one in Kansas City?
That's the second one. We did our first one,
Yeah.
sold it, actually made a little bit of money, so
Nice.
that's a good thing.
Absolutely. Definitely a win when you make money
Yes,
flipping for sure. Especially this year's been so weird
yes.
with the market. And so but that's awesome. So you got somebody to be boots on the ground. They've got the crews. Basically you're kind of doing more of like a PMP, private money partner strategy on this or just a JV
Well,
model.
I, I did it the wrong way. I did mutual funds, so it was all paid for my cash.
Gotcha.
So, and then I just paid out the contractors, and hopefully, whenever we flip it, I can pay myself back.
Got it. Got it. Okay. And so with the agent that's running kind of more as like a project manager because she's local, are you giving
Yep.
her equity on the flip or are you just paying her like a set rate for running the job?
Uh, she's got to get a little bit of equity on it,
Okay.
just because she is doing roughly
Right.
everything. Her people, her everything.
For sure. Okay,
So,
cool. Yeah, because like I've done that in the past with other out of state investors where I'm the guy on boots on the ground, right? And so I'll bring the deal, I'll bring the crew, I just need the cash. And so I'll run A to Z. And so rather than them being like a private money lender getting 10 to 14% interest, we're typically paying our guys 12% annualized. We can do like a 60-40 split,
yep,
right? So 60% to me because I brought the deal, I brought the crew, I'm running the thing. They bring the
definitely.
cash. They're still a
Yep,
partner on the flip, but now their cash on cash return is much higher because they're going to get their initial funds back and then 40% of the profit. And so, but that sounds like a pretty solid model for you because yeah, you're going to give her a little bit of equity, but she's doing all the work and you're going to have the higher
yes,
return. So I love that. That's
yes,
awesome.
yes,
Cool,
yes.
man. That's awesome. And so how long have you been in the space? I mean, 15 rentals, that's pretty impressive portfolio, especially for single families. How when did you jump in?
2021.
Okay, nice,
Um,
dude. That's some
yep,
pretty fast growth. I love it.
yeah.
Um, what was what was life like before real estate? Like what brought you into the space?
When uh, I used to run the IT department for the local police department.
Okay.
So we get a little pension whenever we retire.
Hmm.
And I was talking to my wife. I was like, what are we going to do what am I going to do when we retire? And
Yeah,
I was like, a little bit of pension. So I ain't going to have much money.
sure.
And I can't sit around and do nothing. So I just started researching what can I do? What can I do? And real
Yeah.
estate popped up, and I started researching it, and I was like, hey, let's do it. She was like, let's do it.
Nice, dude. I love that. Supportive spouse is huge in this space.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Definitely.
Okay, so IT department, were you on the force or were you like contracted in to just work within the police department?
No, I was just a non-sworn employee.
Okay.
So, and it was just me.
You are the department.
Yeah, I was the department.
Okay. Nice.
But so yeah, I was there 17 years, and
Okay.
then last February, I quit, and now I'm doing this full time.
Nice, nice. So you got interested in it. I guess you probably already had plans to like we're getting towards the end of the line here. Let's find our next jumping off point, and then started to get some success in real estate, and that was where you could kind of be like, all right, see you guys. I'm gonna go focus on this full time. Is that kind of how it played out for you?
Kinda. We here every place is different, but it was a 30-year retirement, so I
Okay.
still had 13 years left.
Gotcha.
So my wife was like, "Hey, if you can quit your job now, do real estate investing full time, you can retire me from my job
There
that
you
much
go.
quicker."
Sure.
So
Yeah,
it was all her ideas. So if
I
this
got it.
fails or whatever,
All
I'm
right.
blaming her.
You'll be back to splicing wires.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I love that. That's awesome. Did you have any prior experience in like owning your own business or just being an entrepreneur, or is was real estate kind of like that first starting point for you? Because I know you said you were an employee for the department. Were you doing like tech stuff on the side or flipping furniture or something like that? Like, do you have anything in your history that was kind of like those early stages of entrepreneurship?
No. It was I've always worked for the man, whether it was the military or it's funny you say furniture. I used to upholster furniture,
Okay.
uh, and I did IT, and so now that my dad, he was an entrepreneur. He had
Hmm.
his own business.
Okay.
So my uncle's done some stuff. So my family has, but not me personally.
Sure. Okay. Well, you had a little bit of you could kind of see what that life looks like from
Yeah.
afar, right? Seeing your dad, seeing your uncle kind of doing their own thing, and then you're just like, "Hey, why not me? Let's go do
Yeah.
it." I love it,
Yep.
dude. That's awesome. Yeah, because I
Yep.
mean, I'm talking to a lot of guests on here. We kind of go back and forth. I was like, is entrepreneurship like a learned trait, or is it something that's just like inherent in certain people? Because I'm of the thought that not everyone could be an entrepreneur. I mean, physically can they be? Yes, but it's more of a mindset situation.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and some people are just okay with punching a clock and living the life
Hmm.
that they want to live, and then there's other people that would rather work 100 hours for themselves rather than working 40 hours for the man, right? And so
Correct. Correct.
but I think obviously that happens at different stages in life, right? Like that switch was flipped later on, 17 years in there. And for me, like I wasn't in the workforce nearly that long, but still it took a long time. Like I was in real estate doing photography, shooting listings for probably 5, 6, 7 years, but never really diving in. Like I was always interested in flips, but it was more of a mindset problem. Like I don't know where these guys find these deals. I don't know how they fund them. Like at the time, I didn't even own my own home. How am I going to go buy an investment property? And it was
Right.
just like this scarcity mindset, right? I wasn't ready, and
Yes.
until you kind of learn a little bit more. And so, do you think there was like a specific switch that was flipped in your brain, and it's like, all right, it's go time. Let's figure this out, or is it more just like was like that timeline, right? Like 13 years to retire. Do I really want to wait that long? Or I could probably go and get it now, work hard for the next 5 years. Even if you were doing this for 13 years, the level that you're going to end up at is much higher. Like, was it something like
Correct.
that? Okay.
Yep. No, but mine was the 13-year plan.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I'm gonna do real estate on the side for 13 years, and I'm gonna
Gotcha.
be I'll be ready to be done whenever it's time to retire.
Sure. Sure.
Um, then I just enjoyed it. I was like, hey, I enjoy it, and now I just started consuming,
Yeah.
you know, all the podcasts, all the books, all of everything. It's like, oh, I'm a big sponge.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, hey, that this is it. I'm more. I wanted um, my full-time job to be my part-time job, and it's like, all right, well, we might want to do something different here.
Sure, yeah, totally. And so, I mean, talking about that, right? Like, there's so much knowledge out there now, like freely available. You got YouTube, you got all the books and podcasts and stuff. When you were getting started, was it just you and you were just kind of hitting the ground running, didn't know what you didn't know, or were you leaning on a mentor or somebody to kind of show you the ropes for those first few deals that you did?
Um, did a lot of YouTube.
Okay.
Brandon Turner, when he was at Bigger Pockets, was
Yeah.
great dude. Obviously Pace, but as far as a mentor around here, I didn't have anyone.
Yeah.
I had one guy, but he bought all his stuff cash, and I, we were just in two different categories.
Sure. Yeah.
So I couldn't do the way he was doing things.
Right.
But I did join another mentorship, thinking, hey, let me try this,
Mm-hmm.
and got some people I could talk to, got
Yeah.
some calculators. I didn't even know what calculators were. I was like,
Sure.
oh, what are we talking about calculator? And oh, a spreadsheet, I got you.
Right.
And so kind of got that knowledge into me, and I actually called my financial advisor at the time. It's like, hey, do you know anybody that you're doing real estate investing for? He's like, I got a guy that I know I think you'll be good with. And so I called him and he was like, hey, you need to talk to my son. So I talked to his son, and the dad came back and was like, hey, we're trying to get rid of two properties. You want to buy them? It's like, okay.
Nice.
So just like with our flips, our first two long-term rentals
Yeah.
were a two-pack.
Love it. That's cool. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Were you working with, I don't know why these lights just went off. Well, were you working with a realtor or were you working with other wholesalers or anything? But it sounds like a buyer just approached you and said, "Hey, uh,
Mhm.
do you want to take these off our hands?"
Yep. I've only bought uh two. I guess the two flips in Kansas City were the
Yeah.
only ones that I bought through an agent. Everything else has been through a wholesaler.
Okay, cool. So you've only used the realtor for the flips in Kansas City, but everything else locally has all been either wholesalers or are you going direct to seller on those?
Nope, straight wholesalers.
Okay.
We actually went to, I guess we did go direct to seller. There was somebody that listed a four pack on Craigslist.
Okay.
They were trying to do a
Nice.
1031. It was
Yeah.
like, okay, let's do it.
Dude, I think
So,
Craigslist is so slept on. Like people forget that it exists and
yeah,
they made it more difficult, especially if you are the one selling, because then you have to pay to, it's not a lot of money. It's like $5, but it's still annoying to put a listing up.
right.
But I mean, I think we found 4 or 5 deals on Craigslist
Gotcha.
that
It's
have been
crazy.
there. They've been up there for like a month, 2 months plus, and it's just
Yeah,
like nobody is looking. And so, like in my free time, I'll just kind of go in there, and I think, yeah, it's a slept on spot to look for deals. So that's
it
cool. So
is.
you hit them up, and you said it was a 4 pack, 4 single families.
Yep. Yep.
That's awesome,
Yep.
dude. I love it. That's cool. Um, how are you financing all these? Are you just getting traditional bank loans, or have you built up like a private money kind of database and bringing people in on the deals? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
All right. Like I said earlier, I feel like I did it wrong because we, well, I don't know if we did it wrong, but we was betting on ourselves. So we pulled out mutual funds
Okay, gotcha.
and started buying stuff. Now, uh, on the four pack, we got a portfolio loan.
Okay,
So we do have some loans, and we've done some burrs.
yeah,
So we've got uh, some mortgages on some of them, and then we've got a line of credit
okay,
over a lot of the other
sure,
ones.
yeah. Which I think that's super smart. lines of credit are amazing to continue to scale, right? You build up equity and
Yeah.
then it's just a giant credit card, right?
Yep.
And
Exactly.
with a way lower interest rate. And so you can go and just move a lot quicker, have that strike capital when the dad and son hit you up and want to sell you two properties, you got it right there.
Right.
You don't have to go and raise
Right.
it. So I mean, that's
Right.
awesome. Cool. And so when you're doing those burrs, were you doing it where you're using those mutual funds, paying cash, then you'd renovate it and then go out and get a new loan, like the first loan on the house, or were you using like hard
Yep.
money situation? Okay,
Yep.
cool. That's
Yep. I've never
interesting.
used hard money.
Yeah. Well, why would you if you have the capital available, right? Save that interest, keep it in your pocket.
Yep.
So that's awesome, man. So I mean, you've been in this space since 21, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, you got a little over 3 years now, but everyone that I talk to in this space, me included, know that real estate is not without challenges, right? And
Yeah.
so, can you tell me a story or a situation, right, where you've had an obstacle in your way, something came up, whether it was super early on or maybe it was just last week, who knows? But a challenge that came up in your business and how you overcame that.
Well, right now with our Wilkesboro flip, when we bought this house, it had a hole that you could be on the outside and you can look inside.
Oh snap!
And it had a tenant in it. It's like,
With a hole there.
how? Yeah, it's like, how are you even living here?
Wow.
So, we had to evict them because they wouldn't leave.
Okay.
Um, it took so long to get them evicted that our one of the contractors that we had was like, hey, it's going to be a whole lot more now.
Sure.
And so we had to find another contractor and be like, hey, you got a hard deadline, a hard stop
Hmm.
at this amount of money. Can you do it?
Yeah.
And that dude is a champ. I ain't gonna lie. I am a fan of him. And we're probably a month away, uh, hopefully, knock on wood,
Yeah.
from that being finished. And hey, if you find a good contractor, you got to keep him.
Dude,
And that's
amen. That's awesome. So, I mean, even in this challenge, the silver lining is you found a great contractor to build that relationship up and use them moving forward. Because, man, I can tell you, contractors can take you for a ride if you let them.
yes,
And
yes.
so we've had a couple horror stories just this past year where we've lost a whole bunch of money on some flips because whether it be bad partnerships, which that's a whole nother story. I could talk about that for an hour. But the contractors that promise you the world and then they show up and they're charging you hourly. They want a bunch up front. They're not keeping
Oh,
like track of the scope of work, all this kind of stuff, and it gets out of hand quick. And so if you've got a really solid contractor, you gotta hang on to them for sure. And which is more like even more motivating because you got to keep them busy, right? Because
yes,
if you don't have them working on your jobs, they're going to go to somebody else's. And so it's like, dude,
yes.
I gotta get another deal by the end of the month because we're going to be done with
That's what
this
I'm
one,
trying.
and I need to get them over there to this next thing. So yeah, dude,
Yes,
that's
that's
awesome.
exactly what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah,
And I'm trying to do something closer to home because
sure.
he, he actually has a trailer
Okay.
that he's actually staying there.
Oh wow.
So he's kind of security,
Yeah, dude,
over there and
that's
working there.
honestly that's amazing. I never heard of a contractor doing that, but that's awesome. Well, and it could be just more efficient, right? Like, because I don't
Yes.
know if you're doing this with them, but we like to put in kind of incentives, right? Like, I need this house done by January 30th. If you get it done by January 23rd, right, a week early, I'm gonna pay you an extra $500.
Yeah.
If it's done in February, right, I'm docking X amount, right? Like to
Right.
keep him honest. But if
Yeah.
he's living there, I mean, it's really up. He knows he's going to make so much money if he puts in the work and gets done faster.
Right.
Ultimately, like his hourly rate is higher, right? And that's why I love paying contractors flat fees rather than hourly because
Yes.
anyone,
Definitely.
yeah, anyone's going to say, oh, yeah, this will take about an hour. But
Yeah.
if it truly takes an hour, cool. But if you can do it, if you have the skill set to get it done in 15 minutes, I'm totally okay with overpaying for your
Right.
hourly. I just need it done. And it's so much easier for me to run my books rather
Yeah.
than the guy that says it's going to take 4 hours, then it takes nine, and he's charging me like a ridiculous hourly rate. And it's just like, dude, how can I ever keep track of my numbers? Like it just doesn't make
Right.
sense. And so that's really cool. That's honestly, that's a great idea. Like if I had an extra RV laying around, pull it
Yes.
over
Love it.
nearby a house and then be like, hey, bro, just live here while you're working on the house, or at least to the point where it's
Yep.
like now it's secure. We got the cameras up, we got the locks in, whatever. That's really cool. I like
Yeah.
that.
He goes back and forth kind of on the weekends, and then his son will stay there on the weekends.
Okay.
Um, and he gives me all kinds of pictures. Like I say, he's a great dude.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love it. That's cool. Okay, so like you got your portfolio rocking. You're getting into some more flips. Um, what do you think? Like, obviously, we're both in the owners club with Pace, and he's been talking about your Mount Everest, right? This large goal over the next 3 to 5 years that you can't really attain by yourself. You got to collaborate with other people. What is your big Mount Everest goal that you're chasing over the next 3 to 5 years?
I want to help 500 law enforcement and veteran uh, families get in affordable housing,
I
whether
love it.
it's single family, small multi, it don't matter. Just help them get in there.
Cool. That's awesome, man. And do you have a revenue number attached to that?
I'd like to make 100 grand a month
There you go.
at
Love
some
it.
point.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. Well, and it's not
It's
even
out there
because
now.
100%. Well, mine's very similar, but in the sober living space. But it's 100K a month. The
Yeah,
number's a little higher just because we're putting more people in each house.
yeah,
But the numbers, it's more of a vanity metric than anything. But it's just the more money we make, the more impact we can make, right? And
correct.
so if you can help 500 veterans and
Law
on
enforcement.
law enforcement, right?
Yep,
Get that affordable housing, and you're bringing in 100K a month, you can just do that much more for the community, or
correct.
just loving on that community in the law enforcement space even more so, right? And so it's like it's not that I need to make it a massive amount of money monthly. Like sure, there's a little bit of lifestyle creep when you're making that kind of cash,
Right,
but it's like
right,
it's ultimately the money's just a tool, right? It's a vehicle for us to reach for a bigger vision.
right.
So that's awesome, man. Are you primarily focusing on North Carolina, or are you looking all over the country to do this?
Now, but I'm going all over the country.
Love it.
Uh, I'd like to go around military posts
Sure,
um, because a lot of them, a lot of veterans, they stay around military for VA or whatever.
sure.
So I'd like to do something like that.
Yeah, I love it. That's cool, man. Well, so from 15 to 500, we got to get you some deals.
Exactly,
I love it. Well,
exactly.
and so you're primarily a buy and hold guy. So, like, if somebody's watching this interview right now, what is a deal that you're looking for? Like, what type of deal? And then where can they send it to if they want to get a hold
Well,
of you?
I'm um, I'm actually trying to get into the co-living space right now.
Okay,
So that could be another way to help, veterans and law enforcement, kind of some temporary housing.
totally.
So, because right now, as you know, long-term rentals aren't really where it's at. They-
Yeah.
they- They're not really making anything. So, I think if I shift my um, pivot to business towards co-living,
Hmm.
it'll help out. And like I say, I'm looking anywhere around the military. I'm an army guy, wherever it's at. I'm an army guy,
Yeah, yeah.
and, but I'll help Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. It doesn't matter. We're all brothers and sisters.
Of
So
course.
anywhere around a post like that, and that they can send it to me on my socials. I'm Lance Williard. That's two I's in my last name, Williard. On Instagram, on Facebook, I'm Bossman5550. I don't know why they wouldn't let me use my
I love
name,
it. That's amazing.
but
That's so good.
that was a nickname growing up, so
Heck
that they
yeah.
can hit me there, or my email is um, on my socials as well.
Got it. Love it, dude. That's awesome. And thank you so much for your service. I see all the
I
placards back
appreciate it.
there. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, of course. And I love the vision of helping them out because I mean, all service men and women and veterans in any capacity, right? I feel like they're often overlooked for the service that they provided for the country, and it's like if we can make an impact in that space too. I mean, they're the ones that need the most help oftentimes, right?
Right.
And it's like we just kind of forget about them. And so I love that vision to get them into some affordable housing and do well in the community. That's awesome. And so,
And something that I've seen, and this is just going along with the Mount Everest, some research that I've done is that it's hard for veterans to go through the VA system to get help with housing.
right.
You know, is I mean, it, it's more stringent than Section 8. I mean,
Yeah.
basically. So
Yeah.
just trying to get in there
Just leave it to the government to
somehow.
make everything confusing.
Yes.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Well, Lance, I really appreciate the time sharing your story. I've got one more question for you, though.
All right.
You've learned a lot in this last 3, 4 years. If you could go back and talk to yourself right when you're getting started, or like a brand new investor that's watching this, they're super motivated, they want to go out and start buying rentals themselves or flips. What is a piece of advice that you would give to somebody just starting out in the real estate space?
Get a mentor. Uh, and preferably in the way I feel right now, get a mentor that knows how to raise capital
That's great.
because you can find the deal. Finding the right money though is that'll make or break a deal.
Yeah, for
So
sure. It can be a challenge, especially when you're
if
new.
you can, yep, if you can learn how to raise your own money and not use yours, yeah, finding the deal is the easy part.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. Yeah, I think it took me a while to realize that because I think everyone's like, well, if you find a good enough deal, the money will come. And it's like, yeah, but it might be, it's going to not make it
Yes,
a deal anymore. And so,
exactly.
yeah, that's really, really good advice for somebody new. But that's awesome, man. One more time, uh, give me your Instagram name.
Lance Williard, that's Williard.
Amazing. Awesome. Guys, if you get any deals in North Carolina specifically, but really anywhere in the country, send it to this man so we can make an impact with all the servicemen and women that he's chasing after. Lance, again, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. Everybody watching, thanks so much for sticking to the end. If you could like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're trying to bring as much valuable content as we can. Until the next episode, I will catch you later. Peace.